I'll never forget that day. Something sinister happened. Something unimaginable.
My cell phone rings, and it's Clark County Sheriff Joe Lombardo. Sheriff says to me, "Glenn, I'm calling about Jeff Gehrman." And he says, "Jeff's dead."
Just like that?
Just like that.
Jeff Gehrman was found dead with stab wounds outside his home around 10:30 yesterday morning.
Metro Police are asking for the public's help. They're saying this is the suspect.
I couldn't even believe it. I had so many questions. Who would do this? I mean, how did this happen?
Just how big a list of people might have wanted Jeff dead?
That's a line of people that runs from here to Los Angeles. This guy's written about terrible people who've done awful things for over 40 years. The worst kinds of people.
They called him Tony the Ant, but Tony Spilotro was a big figure in the mafia.
He had a special interest in covering organized crime.
Watch yourself.
You know, he was gutsy and fearless.
Jeff Gehrman was guided by an innate sense of right and wrong. If he knew someone was engaging in criminal activity, unethical activity, inappropriate behavior, he wanted to do that story. He wanted to bring it to light.
We couldn't believe he would even take a call from us, but he did.
Give me a sense of what state you were in when you called Jeff Gehrman.
We were desperate.
In fear every day.
It was just survival, one step in front of the other, one day at a time.
The only person that listened to us and the only person that tried to do something, that concretely put their name on the line to try to do something.
He's the first person that listened to us.
Was Jeff Gehrman?
Was Jeff. He did something and he fought for us. And he is 100% our hero. And if I was to talk to him today, I think the first thing I would say is, I'm sorry.
As Jeff's editor, his colleague, did you ever sense any danger in covering this story?
There was absolutely no suggestion, no hint that this would end the way it did. None.
On September 2nd, 2022, it was a boiling hot, late summer day in Las Vegas, and people were getting ready for the Labor Day weekend. It was late morning when, in broad daylight, something terrible happened.
As investigative journalists for the Las Vegas Review-Journal, Brianna Erickson and Rhonda Prast had seen a lot of bad people do a lot of bad things. But nothing came close to the Machiavellian plot to murder their friend and colleague, Jeff Gehrman.
Jeff Gehrman was at his house on vacation. He'd gone out to get something to eat. He came back, shut his garage door. You could see in the surveillance video from across the street that someone, an assailant, came into his yard, went to the left side of his house, went inside the gate, shut the gate.
And then we see Jeff moments later opening his garage door, and he was instantly ambushed when he turned the corner to where that person was lying in wait. In the video, you can kind of see a struggle, but Jeff ultimately falls to the ground and he never gets up.
What happened to him in that attack?
Jeff was stabbed. He was stabbed 7 times, 4 times in the neck, 3 in the torso.
7 stab wounds. Did that suggest what kind of a killing this was?
To me, this was a very personal attack. To stab someone in such a short time, viciously 7 times, with no warning.
A concerned neighbor found Jeff Gehrman's body hidden behind some bushes 24 hours later.
911 emergency for BL 11965. Do you need police, fire, medical?
I have a neighbor across the street from me, and he's laying in the side yard. I believe he's dead. He's got blood over him.
It was just a terrible thing to know that he was lying there, and we wondered whether he could have been saved, but medical experts told us later that he likely died within a minute or 2.
It was a small mercy for a man who had spent his life fighting for the underdog.
At the base, he just wanted to help people and protect people, you know, and expose wrongdoing.
From the start, Jeff Gehrman was shooting for big game. And when he came from Wisconsin in the 70s, Vegas was the Serengeti. Mark Fierro, a TV reporter at the time, became a lifelong friend and trusted source.
Jeff Gehrman at the outset was a reporter who caught the most important beat in Las Vegas of his day, that was organized crime.
Then a reporter for the Las Vegas Sun, Jeff took on one of the biggest, meanest mobsters on the Strip.
A prime target of the feds is Tony Spilotro, the outfit's representative in Vegas.
Tony Spilotro, a power player for the Chicago mob, played by Joe Pesci in Scorsese's film Casino.
You said I'm bringing heat on you?
Here's Jeff Gehrman talking about Spilotro in the podcast Mobbed Up.
He had a reputation for being a brutal killer, yet he was never convicted of a single murder.
A podcast Jeff made about a year before he died.
He had the coldest eyes I've ever seen. In my stories, I got used to calling Spilotro by his street name, Tony the Ant. He hated that, and it sometimes left me at the receiving end of Spilotro's nasty stares and his menacing fits of anger.
The irony of all of this is that Jeff was not a tall man, was not a strong man, but he toughed it out, and he went toe-to-toe with these guys year in and year out, and some of these guys were dangerous guys.
Try as they did, they couldn't scare him, says Brianna.
After his tires had been slashed and some spooky things were happening to him, he told a mob affiliate in a bar to call off his dogs. Then he got punched in the face. He later described that as a badge of honor.
A couple of hours later, with 4 stitches under my lip, I had a war story to tell.
As the mob slowly lost its grip on Vegas, Jeff built a career exposing dirty business, government corruption, and crime. Rhonda, the former assistant managing editor for investigations at the RJ, worked with him for 3 years.
He kept digging and digging and digging, and he was like the dog, the little dog that would take a bite of your pants and wouldn't let go. You know, he was just so laser focused on continuing to go deeper and deeper and deeper into a story.
That tenacity helped him expose the truth in stories that could have remained in the shadows. He was one of the few journalists, along with his colleague David Ferrara, to report on the Susan Winters case, a woman whose parents doubted the suicide ruling in their daughter's death.
And Jeff started putting pieces together, working with the attorney for the family, and that the way that she killed herself was so unseemly that it just didn't add up. And once he started, and he started pulling on that thread, and then he started pulling on a rope, and then it turned into a chain.
That chain turned into a series of stories that targeted the husband, Turns out Susan died from ingesting a lethal combination of painkillers and antifreeze. The husband, who was charged with murder, ultimately pleaded guilty to voluntary manslaughter and was sent to prison. As hard-charging and public as Jeff was in his work life, the lifelong bachelor was notoriously private about his personal life.
He was always back to business, back to business. This man was born to be a reporter.
A man who lived for his job, and as it turns out, a man who may have died for it. The entire newsroom rallied together. His colleagues had no idea who did this or why. But they were determined to do what Jeff German would have done. Find out. The RJ staff was in mourning. Their sorrow in full display on Jeff German's desk.
It's a reminder that this team is not going to be the same without him, but we can carry on the way he would want us to.
And that meant doing what he would have done. The staff started tugging on threads and searching for clues, working nonstop on one of the most important stories of their careers. Who killed Jeff German?
Immediately, I started thinking in my head, all right, who had threatened Jeff in any way in the last 5 months? Who could have possibly done this?
Executive editor Glenn Cook asked Rhonda to come up with a short list of people to consider.
One of the names I gave him was Robert Tellis.
And who is Robert Tellis?
He was a Clark County elected official in charge of the Public Administrator's Office, which handles estates of people who were deceased.
One of the estate coordinators in Tellis's office, Alicia Goodwin, had reached out to Jeff German in March of 2022. She had filed a formal complaint with the Clark County Office of Diversity on behalf of herself and some colleagues, claiming Robert Tellis harassed, bullied, and discriminated against them.
He was a horrible human being. Monster is the right word.
But Alicia says the county did nothing.
It was always, he's an elected official, there's nothing we can do.
Jeff agreed to hear what Alicia and her colleagues, Noreen Pagdanganan, Rita Reed, and Jessica Coleman, had to say.
And when he finally talked to us and he let us tell what had happened to us, and he said, no, I'm gonna look into this. I think that's the only thing that gave us enough energy to keep going.
According to the women, the trouble began almost immediately after Robert Tellis took office in January 2019. Rita, a supervisor, was his second in command and a 12-year veteran of the office.
He came in very abruptly into the office and he slammed his palms down on my desk with a real loud bang.
Like a...
Oh, yes, absolutely. And he leaned forward and he said, we're ripping off the bandage. You no longer supervise anyone. No one reports to you. They all report to me. And he turned around and he walked out. And I just sat there stunned.
The women say they were ordered not to speak to each other in the office.
It felt dangerous to even have a hello, good morning conversation with coworkers in passing.
If caught, the consequences could be severe, says Alicia. She remembers getting called into Tellis's office after he saw her and two other women talking.
We walked into his office and he said, sit down and shut up. You're not gonna talk, I'm gonna talk. And he just got this look on his face. He sat back and he pointed at Noreen and said, F you.
What was it like to be in that room and receiving that?
It was scary because I did not want to upset him because I knew how he could be.
Despite years of service, all the women say they feared for their jobs. And Jessica, who safeguarded the property of the deceased in a caged room, says she feared for her physical safety. She says Tellis would sometimes come in and threaten her.
There was an instance where he got in my face and, you know, he's yelling and I'm sort of backed up against the cage door.
He was trying to physically intimidate you.
Yes, yes, he would bring his chairs up really close and demand that you really pay attention and look him in the eye while he told you horrible things.
One of those horrible things, says Jessica, almost did her in. Alone in the cage together, she says, Tellis started by saying that he noticed she never talked to anyone in the office, a bizarre comment considering his no talking rule.
And he goes, if you keep going down this road, you're gonna be like our cases and you're just gonna die alone and nobody's gonna find you. And I sat there and cried. And then after that, it's hard to admit, then I started thinking the best thing I could do would be to sacrifice myself for the girls. And I had actually picked out a place that I was going to hang myself in the vault in view of the door because he would always come by and make sure I was working. And I thought, this will be good. If they have to find me this way, then the county will have to do something.
Mercifully, Jessica realized that was not the solution to the problem. But they came up with another plan. The women believed Tellis was having an inappropriate relationship with a subordinate in the office named Roberta. Roberta, they claimed, used that relationship to assume power and privilege beyond her job title.
Is there any doubt in your mind that the two of them were having a romantic affair?
No, absolutely not.
None whatsoever.
No.
But they needed proof. So they decided to follow them.
We had seen a pattern, short dress day. If they went the same direction, we knew that we needed to go.
It was always to the same place, says Alicia, a parking garage in a nearby mall. The alleged lovers would park next to each other.
We started to take pictures and we started to video.
That's Roberta's car on the left, Robert Tellis's on the right.
So how did you position yourselves where you could get some video?
Very carefully.
Yeah.
In a car?
Sometimes in a car, sometimes we would get out of our car. There were kind of some cutouts and pillars where you could get angles here and there, and we just tried to move around and to get the best that we could.
According to the women, the alleged lovers would ultimately end up in the back seat of Roberta's car.
Roberta has said that they would sit in the back seat because she wanted to be able to make eye contact with him as they were having important office discussions.
Yeah. Yes. That is what she said.
Okay, and your reaction to that?
Well, that last video we got, we had a little better recorder. You can see the shadows, and you can see those heads going together.
We felt it was so inappropriate.
But this was the shot they believed was the most telling. Roberta leaving the car and smoothing down her dress.
It was so unbelievable, and it just took a moment to digest that it was, I mean, at that moment, it was like so real.
After seeing the videos, Jeff asked Roberta about them. She responded, "I have not had an inappropriate relationship with him." The RJ published the story.
Let me read the lead in this first article. The Clark County Public Administrator's Office has been mired in turmoil and internal dissension over the past 2 years, with allegations of emotional stress, bullying, and favoritism leading to secret videotaping of the boss and a co-worker outside the office. That story went all over the state of Nevada and, before long, all over the country. As this settled in, are you thinking mission accomplished, or are you thinking what's going to happen to us next?
Both.
Yeah, the terror didn't stop. The terror almost just got worse. It just changed face.
Jeff Gehrman's story, with its allegations of turmoil, bullying, and hostility, had a swift and searing effect at the public administrator's office. The county finally sent in an outside consultant, and Robert Tellis lost his bid for re-election in the primary, ironically to his arch-enemy, Rita Reed. But Jeff wasn't through with Robert Tellis yet. He wrote 3 more scathing pieces chronicling the fall of the once up-and-coming young Democrat, and another story was in the works. But Jeff Gehrman did not survive to write it.
Jeff Gehrman was found stabbed to death outside his home in the Northwest.
When news of Jeff's murder broke, the women Jeff had fought for were overcome with grief, but also dread, afraid of what they may have unleashed. Alicia's dad, a former Las Vegas police detective who introduced her to Jeff, said what they were all thinking.
My dad called me first thing in the morning and said that Jeff had been killed. And I didn't even get to react before my dad's next word were, "I know who my first suspect is." As soon as those words came out of his mouth, I knew immediately too.
That it was Robert.
That it was Robert.
The staff at the Las Vegas Review-Journal was wondering the same thing. Could Robert Tellis have been involved?
The journalistic hounds are released, right?
Yes. We weren't going to do anything until every little rock was overturned and every little fact was found out about what this guy was and who he was.
Art Kane, now the investigation's editor, was a reporter at the time.
And we started finding out a lot of interesting things about him. For example, he was arrested while he was public administrator for choking his wife.
Can you please send somebody here? My husband is going crazy.
There's body cam video that we have obtained of that.
Who did I hit? Cameras.
Our cameras are on.
But you guys just want to take me down because I'm a public official.
Tellis, slurring his words, was arrested for domestic battery and resisting arrest.
There is sufficient evidence to book me right now.
There is sufficient evidence to book you right now, yes.
And I'm not trying to be like, I'm a public official, so, you know, do what I want you to do. Right. I'm saying, I'm not a idiot.
He received a suspended 90-day sentence on the resisting charge and was ordered to attend a corrective thinking class. The battery charge was dismissed.
No one ever heard about it because no one covers DUIs and domestics, and that flew under the radar.
Looking back, there were other warning signs, says Brianna, such as these, a series of tweets Tellis posted in response to Jeff's reporting.
Read that one for me.
Looking forward to lying smear piece number 4 by @JGehrmanRJ. Hashtag one trick pony. I think he's mad that I haven't crawled into a hole and died. Laughing emoji.
What did you think of that one?
Somebody who's pretty pissed off.
But the journalists knew angry tweets didn't prove anything. They needed facts, and facts were hard to come by. All they had were these 2 still surveillance photographs the police had released of the suspect in Jeff's neighborhood. The outfit, bizarre as it seems, may have been a strategic choice, says Art.
The outfit is very typical of what construction workers and people who do landscaping wear because they want to cover up all their skin from the sun.
When the police released a surveillance video, Review-Journal photographer Kevin Cannon immediately noticed something the big hat and orange reflective shirt couldn't hide. The man's walk, his gait.
How would you describe that gait?
It's a bit of a limp and a favor on one side, it seems.
Kevin went digging in his files and found this, a walking shot he had taken of Robert Tellis when Jeff interviewed him at his office. The staff compared both videos side by side.
I'm not sure how to describe it, but it was definitely the identical gait in my mind.
Kevin then went through hundreds of still photos he had taken that day and found this.
It's a very chilling photo, and it's the one and only photo where Jeff and Tellis are in the same photo.
Executive editor Glenn Cook says his staff moved forward on the operating theory that Robert Tellis could have been the killer, but they still didn't have hard evidence. Then the police released this, a photo of the suspect's car, a maroon Yukon Denali.
Show me what you did.
But you just type in the address, you pull up the Google Street View.
Assistant City Editor David Ferrara immediately typed Tellis's home address into Google Earth.
And if you zoom in on the house, that maroon vehicle is there, parked in the driveway.
The maroon SUV was registered to Tellis's wife.
And at that moment, we send reporters and photographers straight to the house. And the message I give our Metro editor is, do not engage, do not approach, do not be seen. This man is very likely a suspect in the murder of your colleague, and we can't predict how he's going to react to anyone being near him.
But the photographer, crouching behind his dashboard, managed to get what he came for.
And is this the picture that is taken?
That's the photo.
This is the money photo.
It's the money shot. Robert Tellis, on a scorching hot 110-degree day, is in jeans in his driveway washing the maroon GMC Yukon Denali.
This must have been a moment where, I don't know if there's any cheering going on in your newsroom, but what a development. What does this mean?
Well, it means that possibly Jeff was killed by the last story he wrote about. I mean, this was his last investigation, and the suspect appears to be the guy he wrote about and basically took him out of office.
Without corroboration from police documents, the Review-Journal couldn't go with the story. But Glenn Cook was betting it wouldn't be long. His reporters had seen unmarked police cars outside Robert Tellis's home.
We have every reason to believe at this point that it's only a matter of time before a search warrant is going to be executed at that house.
A search that will uncover crucial evidence. As the investigators geared up to serve Robert Tellis with a search warrant, the Review-Journal needed to be sure it would be the first to break the news.
It was important because Jeff was always first, and we wouldn't want to let him down and not be the first.
We polish that story, and then we sit on it until police move in.
In the early morning of September 7th, 2022, just 5 days after Jeff Gehrman's murder, Tellis was brought in for questioning as police searched his home and cars. While he was in custody, detectives collected a DNA sample from Tellis. They also took the jeans he was wearing into evidence and gave him a white paper suit to change into before he was taken back to his house and swarmed by reporters eagerly awaiting his arrival.
Did you do this? Did you commit this murder? Did you do this? Tell us anything?
Inside Tellis's home, investigators say they found gym shoes and a duffel bag similar to what was seen in the surveillance video. And when they looked in the garage, detectives say they discovered even more. A straw sun hat, or what was left of it.
The sun hat.
The sun hat.
Cut up into
Yes.
pieces.
Yes.
But police say the most crucial piece of evidence would come from the DNA sample that was taken from Tellis earlier that day.
We received positive DNA results that showed Robert Tellis's DNA at the crime scene.
Tellis's DNA was under Jeff's fingernails.
There's no doubt in my mind that Jeff knew exactly what was happening in that split second, and he made sure he got the evidence.
With a DNA match apparently secured, the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department descended on Robert Tellis's home once again and began clearing the area for an arrest.
And this is where he was arrested?
Yes.
Review-Journal photographer Kevin Cannon was one of dozens of media who had been waiting outside Tellis's home that day.
What happens when the cops arrive?
Suddenly, the police said, okay, everybody out. They kicked the entire news, everyone who was here, out.
Where do you go?
So I made a beeline to the front door of a neighbor who I befriended earlier when I arrived. And they, without saying a word, opened the door and welcomed me in and walked me to their backyard where I could have a view of Tellis's house.
And you could still see the house from your vantage point.
From the backyard, yeah.
Back in the RJ newsroom, some of the staff anxiously kept up with what was happening at the scene through the office's police radio and heard that Tellis refused to come out of his home.
Our target is still calm on the phone. However, he has made a couple 405 comments.
405 comments, a code Las Vegas police use to indicate comments associated with self-harm.
It was kind of scary at that point. We were thinking, is this all going to end on his terms now?
Based on the 405 comments, we're going to go ahead and make the official request for SWAT.
Well, my colleagues heard through the scanner that they were going to move in because he had cut himself and they wanted to save him before he harmed himself more.
And they wanted to get to him.
Right.
The SWAT team made its move, and that's when Kevin got ready.
And so you were positioned, you were ready to go then?
Right. I was ready to go the whole time. I mean, I had my finger on the button the whole time.
Where do you look? What do you see behind you?
Well, I see them rolling him out on a stretcher down around that corner, down that path, out the driveway, and put in an ambulance right here.
Kevin was the only photographer that day to capture Tellis's dramatic arrest. His image of Tellis on the stretcher made the front page of the Review Journal the following morning.
The next day, I opened the paper, and there was a photo on the front page with the banner headline, "Stunning Arrest," and it was stunning.
And satisfying for you after all that?
Very satisfying.
It becomes huge news, obviously, all over the country.
A reporter allegedly killed by a politician for a story he wrote.
That's pretty unheard of.
After Tellis was treated at the hospital for his self-inflicted injuries, he was booked into the Clark County Detention Center. 6 weeks later, Tellis was indicted by a grand jury for murder with use of a deadly weapon.
How do you plead, guilty or not guilty?
Not guilty, Your Honor.
Soon after, evidence from the grand jury was released by the Clark County District Court, including that grainy surveillance attack video.
I think probably what we found some of the most disturbing is the last 3 videos.
Minutes later, it shows the assailant returning to the scene of the crime and parking that maroon Yukon Denali in front of Jeff's driveway.
And now you'll see him walk over and make sure that Jeff is dead.
And you're theorizing he is checking to see if he's dead, because obviously
be.
Jeff saw this
right.
person.
He wants to make sure that there's not a witness that's still alive.
Seemingly satisfied, the suspect walked back to his car and left. Since his arrest, Tellis has been in jail awaiting trial.
Did you murder Jeff Gehrman? Hey, Robert.
Good morning.
We met Robert Tellis for a video interview at the Clark County Detention Center and began with the question on everyone's mind.
Did you murder Jeff Gehrman?
No, sir, I did not.
If you did not commit this murder, who did?
I will reserve that for trial.
You have said that you were framed. Do you stand by that in this conversation?
I do. I absolutely do.
Tellis says he can explain the evidence against him: the torn-up sun hat, the Yukon Denali, and his DNA under Jeff's fingernails.
I say that evidence, or so-called evidence, was planted, along with the other items that were allegedly found in my home as well. And we will go ahead and prove that at trial.
How could someone who is trying to frame you plant your DNA under his fingernails? How would that have happened? First, they would have had to have gotten your DNA, and then when would they have planted it under his fingernails? It seems far-fetched?
Well, crazier things have happened, and I'll tell you that I didn't kill Mr. Gurman.
Come on, man. That's overwhelming. DNA ends up under his fingernails, your DNA. This is an overwhelming case against you, Robert, that you committed this murder.
Again, sir, you have the facts wrong, and I will demonstrate it at trial.
He also says he will show he didn't do those things Gehrman wrote about in his articles.
Robert, you're saying that what these women have said to me, what they told Jeff Gehrman and he printed, those are all lies.
If you look at what Mr. Gurman printed, none of it had any facts within it, right? It was all alleged opinion about, how they felt that I acted.
But it's hard to argue with this. The footage the women shot of their boss and his alleged lover in the parking garage.
Let me ask you straight, were you and Roberta having an affair?
No, she was a confidant, but I'll leave it at that.
But Jeff was not willing to leave it at that. He was planning on writing another piece. According to police documents, Tellis and Roberta got word the day before the murder that there was a planned release of emails and messages between her and Tellis to the Review Journal.
There was a Freedom of Information request that Jeff had put out, and you were told that new messages and emails were going to come out describing the relationship between you and Roberta, communications between the two of you, and it suggested that you made a decision to murder him to try to silence that, to prevent that from being published. What do you say about that?
I say that's a mischaracterization of things. I'll tell you that what was going to be released, and I saw it was going to be released, had no inklings of any type of, confidential relationship, any type of supposed affair. It was all business related. So that would not have been a motivation because there was nothing that was going to be produced that would look bad.
Prosecutors have mentioned this as a contributing motive to the murder. In Robert Tellis's mind, Jeff Gehrman ruined his marriage, ruined his political career, embarrassed him, and was continuing to report on him rather than leave him alone.
If the intention of the alleged killing was to stop Jeff's reporting, it didn't work. After his murder, the RJ journalists hunted through Jeff's notes.
Picking up where Jeff left off.
And completed the stories Jeff had been working on at the time of his death, including another on Robert Tellis's toxic past, a story that investigates claims of sexual harassment, all of which he has denied.
The main thing here is you cannot kill a reporter and kill the story. You just can't do that.
In life, Jeff Gehrman was known to protect his sources at all costs. In death, Jeff was still protecting them. After the murder, the police took all his devices, which harbored the names of countless sources. The Review Journal went to court, and in a hard-fought case that went all the way to the Nevada Supreme Court, the paper won protection for his sources.
That'll be the Gehrman rule. That you will not be able to go into a reporter's files, you will not be able to go through their phone, you will not be able to look at their sources, even after death.
These 4 Jeff Gehrman sources are not about to let the world forget the reporter who fought to protect them. They have attended almost every hearing, trying to come to terms with their feelings of guilt.
Because no matter what logic is in your head, it's not your fault that Jeff made his choices and that he was a professional. Your heart tells you if we wouldn't have made that call, he wouldn't have died in that violent way that day. And if I was to talk to him today, I think the first thing I would say is, I'm sorry. but not for him, for me, because he wouldn't accept my apology. But I need to give it.
Jeff Gehrman was a reporter's reporter, one of the good guys, a man who spent a lifetime speaking truth to power. Truths that are now baked into the history of this place. A neon strip of gritty stories laid bare beneath the desert sky.
He told anyone who asked that he was never going to retire, that he was going to report until his last breath, and that's exactly what he did. And he gave his life to this job. He literally gave his life to this job. I think that's his legacy.
New CBS Next. A soldier suspected of killing his young wife.
He's been trained on how to kill.
Goes on the run.
He just disappeared off the face of the map.
With his 17-year-old girlfriend.
If he was willing to kill his own wife, there's no telling what kind of danger Hannah Thompson would have been in.
48 Hours is all new. CBS Next. And streaming on Paramount Plus.
The Whitaker family was a very welcoming, godly family. Christ was a very important part of what they did.
All right.
The Whitaker home was the place to hang out.
Did you find one?
It was the cool house to be at. Very safe, very nurturing, godly, loving home.
Every time we went over there, you felt loved. They were a family who had fun, and they traveled, and they laughed, and they joked around with each other.
And everyone loved Trisha and Kent. They were the second parents to so many people.
The Whitaker family just seemed like the model, typical, well-to-do Sugar Land family. My name is Marshall Slott, and I'm a detective with the Sugar Land Police Department.
My name is Brittany Barnhill, and I was Kevin Whitaker's best friend. He was just a great guy, the life of the party. Bart was the older brother. Kevin and his friends looked up to Bart. People thought that Bart Whitaker was cool.
On December 10th, 2003, I was working out with my best friend, Kevin Whitaker. He left to go have dinner with his family.
We went out to dinner to a restaurant we all enjoyed. We're all in one car, so we drive back, pull into the driveway. Kevin walks up to the front door, and Trisha's right behind him. Kevin opens the door. There's this huge, loud noise. Bang!
Kevin was shot center mass right in his sternum.
Trisha says, "Oh no." And I hear another noise. Bang!
Trisha had made it into the house behind Kevin and was shot and then fell in the doorway.
I look inside, and there is a figure with a ski mask on. I probably did not look at him for more than a second or two. Bang! I feel something hit my shoulder.
The first 3 shots were in rapid succession. Bart then chased the guy into the house. As he approached that figure, he was shot.
I think, oh my God, he shot all 4 of us.
Kent and Bart recovered from their wounds. Trisha was transported by air ambulance. She was pronounced dead at the hospital. Kevin died at the scene.
It didn't seem real. These types of things happen, but not to me, not to my family, not to my friends.
On the scene, one of the officers had mentioned to me, "I think I've been to this house before, and I think it was about threats on the family from somebody."
I think Kevin knew something. And whatever he knew, I knew he was concerned about it.
The Whitaker family wasn't the all-American family that everybody believed them to be. It became clear that it was a conspiracy. It was not a random act of violence. These people were assassinated.
The Sugar Land Conspiracy.
Sugar Land is very middle class, upper class, white collar. It's a nice place. Everything's new. You hang out with your neighbors, you hang out with your neighbors' kids.
For John Flores and his best friend, Kevin Whitaker, life was sweet in Sugar Land, Texas.
Almost anything's at your fingertips. You can do whatever you want. A lot of fun.
But that all changed on the night of December 10th, 2003, when Kevin and his family were gunned down in their home.
That night, we just got home from church and got the call of a quadruple shooting. That just doesn't happen out here in Sugar Land.
Marshall Slott was the lead detective assigned to the case.
It looks as if it's a burglary gone wrong. The family's coming home from dinner. It's plausible that they could have surprised a burglar.
But as Slott combed through the Whitaker home, he realized things weren't adding up.
In the master bedroom, the dressers, an armoire, all had drawers open on them, but they were all open equal distance. It was very neat and orderly.
Normally a burglar will throw everything out of the drawers to see if there's any valuables in there.
Yes, sir.
Detective Slott began to suspect the burglary had been staged.
None of the items of value inside the house had been moved around. The electronics, laptops, jewelry, none of those items that are typically taken in burglaries.
And then there was the murder weapon. It was the Whitakers' own gun.
The gun safe had been pried open. And it was in a very isolated portion of the household. This is looking more and more like this person knew this gun was here and obtained it for a specific reason.
Detective Slott turned his attention to the Whitaker family's history, hoping it might provide some answers. He started with Kent Whitaker's relationship to his wife, Tricia.
We met on a blind date, walked in her house, and I didn't know what I was expecting, but she came down and I thought, I've never had a blind date like this before. And we hit it off very well right from the start.
How long after you first met Tricia did you realize to yourself, I'm in love with this woman?
A couple of months, maybe.
Really?
Yeah.
And did she feel the same way about
Yes.
you?
Yes, she did.
All right.
And then came their two boys, Bart and Kevin.
I'm so proud of both of them.
The Whitakers were doing well. Kent was a successful accountant. Tricia, an elementary school teacher.
Tricia had a great rapport with children. Parents adored her. The staff adored her. She was just fun.
Barbie Harrington and Peggy McLean, Tricia's close friends and co-workers, knew her true love was being a mom.
They were everything. That's all she talked about. She loved those boys.
Bart, the eldest, did well in school and had a quirky sense of humor.
Close your eyes real quick, okay? And make it work.
He was fun, he was witty, he was respectful.
A good son.
A good son.
A son who shared a passion for biking with his dad.
He and I would spend hours and hours on training rides and on organized rides.
What would you talk about on those trips?
Everything.
Kevin, I'm very proud of you.
Kevin was the sensitive one.
Kevin was a man at a young age. He would not back down from injustice, but he would be so quick to forgive.
This was as healthy and vibrant and loving a family as you'd find, wasn't it?
Thought so. I was very happy with my family. I loved them.
Then came December 10th, 2003.
How did that day begin?
Bart was supposed to be graduating from college. He called and said he was through with his finals and he wanted to go out to eat and celebrate.
Tricia was so proud. She was telling Bart she was going to jump up and down and scream, "Thank you, Jesus!"
We all celebrated, we laughed, we told some jokes, we teased each other and took some pictures and gave Bart his graduation gift, which was an expensive watch.
What kind of watch was it?
It was a Rolex. It was what he'd always wanted. It was just a happy night.
After dinner, the Whitakers headed home. Then, unimaginable horror. 4 shots fired.
I start praying and I say, Father, if it's my time to die, I'm ready. It's okay. But protect my family. And it just was awful.
I saw Kent lying down. I went up to him and he was shot and he says, I'm bleeding very badly.
Neighbor Cliff Stanley, the first person on the scene, then went to check on Tricia.
She was still alive, was kind of moaning. I said, what happened? And Tricia said, he shot us.
Did she say who he was?
No.
Bart was lying in the living room, wounded. As for Kevin,
I could see Kevin clearly, and Kevin was finished.
Kent, Tricia, and Bart were rushed to the hospital, but Tricia didn't survive.
It was horrible.
I lost a friend that taught me how to be a better teacher and a better mother. She was just a really good person, and I miss her so much.
And I remember I walked over to my friend's mom, and I just said, "Was it Kevin?" And I felt her nod on my head. Just kind of shook my head and said, "Okay."
Detectives spent the day searching.
By the next day,
searching for
grief
anything that
turned
could
to
lead them
anger.
to a killer.
Kent, in no unclear terms, told me he wanted us to catch whoever did this. He was upset. He was hurt.
And Bart seemed to share that anger.
He didn't say much, but he pulled my friend Matt and I to him, and he said, "We're going to find who did it."
Detective Slott continued his routine questioning of the survivors. Bart told Slott he was about to graduate from Sam Houston State University. But the next day, stunning news.
The information had come into the Sugar Land Police Department from Sam Houston State University that Bart was not enrolled as a student.
Wait a second, he was not a student?
He was a freshman on academic probation.
A freshman?
Yes, sir.
Wasn't even a senior?
Correct.
So what do you do with this information?
Bells and whistles start going off that why is this kid lying to us? What's he got to hide?
What were you thinking? You lied to us about being in school? You weren't even near graduating. How could you have done that?
Did you ask Bart why he had lied to you? Why he had said he was a student at Sam Houston State?
Yes, sir. He just didn't want to disappoint his family. He had needed a break. Stressors of school had gotten on him.
Then, just 5 days after the shooting, another bombshell.
It was about 11:30 at night. The sergeant on duty paged me, said, "Hey, there's somebody here who wants to talk to you."
Slott met the stranger in the darkened parking lot behind the police station.
He explained to me that he felt he had information that was crucial to the investigation.
The man said that Bart Whitaker wanted him to help kill his family. Six days after Tricia and Kevin Whitaker were gunned down at their home, more than 1,000 friends and family gathered to celebrate their lives.
So many people. It was incredible.
It was a time to share fond memories.
Almost every conversation with Tricia included something about Kent, Bart, and Kevin.
Kevin was a faithful, loyal friend. He never compromised anything.
I loved Kevin so much. I cried with him. I went to senior prom with him.
Amid the sadness,
Bart, I cannot tell you how much Kevin looked up to you. You were his hero.
there was also anger.
This murderer is still out there. The police need our help. For your own families, for everybody's sake, let's catch him.
But what no one here knew, among the mourners was a man police were closely watching.
Your suspicions are focusing on which person?
Bart, definitely.
That stranger Marshal Slott had met in the police parking lot turned out to be an old friend of Bart's named Adam Hipp. And he told the detective an extraordinary story, that Bart had approached him several years earlier with a detailed plan to kill his family.
This is a diagram that Adam Hipp drew for me during our 3-hour-long conversation. It called for Adam Hipp being the shooter, shooting the family members as they came in the residence.
According to Adam Hipp, the plan even included a twist to fool police. Bart wanted Hipp to shoot him in the shoulder so he'd look like a victim, not a suspect.
It was unbelievable.
So what Adam Hipp was telling you was essentially the blueprint for what happened in 2003, the real shooting.
The exact blueprint.
But Bart appeared to have nothing to hide. he agreed to help detectives by reenacting what happened the night of the shootings.
That's when I heard the bang, and I don't remember it. I probably would have run up this way.
But Bart's behavior only heightened Slott's suspicions.
Everything is very vague. It could have been this, but it could have been this.
So that's about the distance you were from him when you got shot?
Yeah, I guess.
Okay.
It might have been closer. I don't really remember.
The fact that he wasn't able to give me a lot of detail about it just was unusual to me.
Police had indicated to you that he was a suspect in this case.
Yes.
Were you wondering at all maybe he had something to do with this?
I considered it, but didn't consider it seriously. He promised me that there was nothing to it, that he did not have anything to do with it, that he loved Tricia and Kevin and me. It was inconceivable.
But after Adam Hipp's story, Detective Slott felt otherwise. He decided to check out two of Bart Whitaker's closest friends, Chris Brashear and Stephen Champagne.
Let's see if he approached any of his current friends to do this.
Chris Brashear and Stephen Champagne worked with Bart at this country club just months before the murders. Slott asked them to provide what police call scent samples. Using bloodhounds, he compared those samples to evidence collected at the crime scene. Slott's hunch paid off when he got a match.
The dogs indicated that Chris Brashear's scent was found on the drawers that had been moved that night.
More importantly, Brashear's scent was found on the gun used in the homicides.
Bingo, we've got our next prime suspect.
When Detective Slott grilled Brashear, he denied any involvement in the shootings.
We told him we had a definitive link between him and the murder weapon on the night of the shooting.
What are you seeing on Brashear's face?
Horror. Panic. We struck a nerve with this kid.
Slott was now closing in on Bart Whitaker. Then, one night, 7 months after the shootings, Bart told his dad he was heading out to a club.
Bart told me he would see me the next day.
And what happened?
Well, that was the last I saw him. He disappeared.
Just fell off the face of the earth.
Mm-hmm.
I was angry. We'd kind of let him get away. That's what I felt like.
Bart's disappearance was a setback, but Detective Slott pressed on, focusing on the suspects still in Sugar Land, especially Stephen Champagne.
We stayed on him and stayed on him and stayed on him.
Eventually, Champagne cracked.
He informed me that he participated in the crime, that Chris Brashear had killed a family.
Champagne confessed that he was the getaway driver, Chris Brashear was the shooter, and that Bart Whitaker was the mastermind behind the plan.
This was the floodgates opening.
Champagne led Slott to a treasure trove of physical evidence.
He led me to the place on the bridge over Lake Conroe, where he and Chris Brashear had thrown items of evidence.
A chisel.
That Chris Brashear had used to break into the gun safe.
Ammunition.
Which happened to be the ammunition that was in the gun.
2 cell phones.
Bart Whitaker had provided those to them to use during the course of carrying out the plot.
And in September 2005, Sugar Land police arrested both Stephen Champagne and Chris Brashear for the murders of Tricia and Kevin Whitaker. But they still didn't know where to find Bart Whitaker. When Bart Whitaker fled Sugar Land, Texas 7 months after the shootings, he left behind a community and a father in disbelief.
As a general rule, people don't run if they're innocent.
No, they don't. Oh, it was horrible. It was awful. I just sat down and I just cried.
Like many a desperado before him, Bart headed south into Mexico. He ended up in this tiny village called Cerralvo, about 40 miles from the Texas border. Bart started his new life here in Cerralvo with about $7,000 in cash, money he had stolen from his father's house. He could speak a little Spanish, and soon he had a small apartment in town and a job at a local furniture store. He also had something else, a new identity. Who is this man?
Well, I know him as Rudy.
Gabriela Gutierrez remembers her American friend named Rudy Rios. How would you describe him?
Well, he was a friendly person. He liked to drink. He liked beer. He liked to go with girls. He was very charming. He had a way with the ladies. I saw him and I said, wow, he's gorgeous.
Cindy Lou Salinas first saw Bart in church, of all places.
I don't know. I found him very interesting. The guys that I've known, I don't know. He just had something nobody had.
After Bart and Cindy Lou began dating, her father, Homero, gave Bart a job at the family's furniture store. What kind of a worker was he?
Very good, very obedient. I really liked him and held him in high esteem.
Cindy Lou's brother, Ubaldo, befriended Bart and was impressed with his stories of adventure, like the one explaining his bullet wound.
He said he got the scar in the Afghanistan war. He said there was a surprise attack on his group by the Afghanis. Most of those in his group were killed. He shot at one with his rifle, but there was another one who got him in the shoulder.
The entire Salinas family took Bart in as one of their own, and Bart told them they were the family he never had.
He used to tell me that he was an only child, that he never loved his mother because his mother never loved him either, and that his mother was a prostitute. He used to say that. His family never gave him the love he wanted. They only gave him money. They ignored him.
For 14 months, Bart Whitaker lived a carefree new life as Rudy Rios.
As Marshall.
But it was all about to come to an end.
To me, he seems like a cool guy, but if he did that, then he needs to pay for it, you know what I mean? I agree.
Back in Sugarland, Detective Slot got a phone call from the real Rudy Rios.
He called me anonymously and said, I know where Bart Whitaker is. I helped him get there.
Rudy Rios and Bart had worked together at a Houston restaurant.
Bart explained to him that there was pressure on him from law enforcement. Rudy said, well, if you ever need any help, let me know. I've got family in Mexico that can help you out.
According to Rudy Rios, Bart paid him $3,000 to escort him to Cerralvo. But when word spread of a reward for Bart's capture, the real Rudy looked to get paid again.
If there's a reward, you know, I don't care. I'd turn his head in.
How much?
$10,000.
$10,000. So Rudy had dollar signs in his eyes when he came forward.
Yes, sir.
Marshal Slot was there, waiting when Mexican authorities dumped Bart back across the border.
He glanced at me and then just down to the floor. I don't know if it was a you got me look, but it was very satisfying to walk in that jail.
The first time I saw him, when they took him back from Mexico, I walk in and we're separated by the bulletproof glass. I said, well, you look like you're okay. And he says, yes, I am. And he says, Dad, I'm just so sorry. I'm so sorry for all of it. It's all my fault.
And what is the it in that sentence that he was referring to?
The murders. He's responsible for the murders.
Also waiting for Bart were Fort Bend County prosecutors Jeff Strange and Fred Felchman, with an indictment for the murders of his mother and brother.
It is just the ultimate act of betrayal. It doesn't get any worse than this.
Why did he have to kill them?
One, because that was the way he was going to inherit $1.5 million. I think also, to some extent, deep down, Bart thinks he's smarter than everybody else, and he just wanted to see if he could get away with the perfect crime.
Cause number 42969, State of Texas versus Thomas and Bart Whitaker.
In Fred Felchman, Bart had an adversary who was one of the toughest, no-nonsense prosecutors in Texas.
How would you describe Bart Whitaker?
There is a term they use in psycholingo, psychobabble, of sociopath. In other words, a person who knows he's doing something wrong, but really doesn't care. The old-time Texas thing was that he's just a mean son of a bitch, okay?
The defendant will please rise. The state will present the indictment.
Because this was a multiple murder, prosecutors will seek the death penalty for Bart Whitaker.
4 shots fired, 4 hits. It's a good, strong case.
In fact, it's an overwhelming case, so much so that Bart's defense attorney decides on a unique strategy. He will all but concede that Bart is guilty and use the trial to try and convince jurors that Bart's life should be spared. And he has a man of unshakable religious faith in his corner.
Even knowing that he'd been guilty and responsible for this, I just can't understand why it's so necessary to put him to death.
Did you have any inkling whatsoever, Mr. Whitaker, that your son had been lying to you?
No, I didn't.
Incredibly, Kent Whitaker has forgiven Bart.
The first night in the hospital, I forgave everyone who was involved in this.
Bart, how do you feel today?
It is a gift of God that allows me to do this. I think he gave me that gift so that when I found out that it was my son, that it would be a legitimate forgiveness.
The question now is, will a jury be as forgiving? Sugar Land, Texas has never seen a trial like this.
This crime affected all of Sugar Land.
A case of multiple murder.
Bart, do you deserve to die?
Where the accused is being passionately defended by one of the people he tried to kill.
If the state pursues the death penalty and receives it, then they will kill the last surviving member of my family.
Kent Whitaker believes his son's eternal soul is at stake.
I believe, as a Christian, that God can and does forgive and change people's hearts. If they are sorry, if they repent, if they ask his forgiveness for real, he will forgive them.
Excuse me, please.
But Jeff Strange and Fred Felchman say their duty is to uphold Texas law, not God's law.
Kent Whitaker's religious faith is genuine. Forgiveness is a big tenet of what he believes, and I respect that, and I totally understand that. That's not my job, though.
Does Bart Whitaker deserve the death penalty?
Yes. He meets the criteria we have in the state of Texas. He is a continuing threat. He intentionally caused these people's death, and there is nothing mitigating about him. He wasn't abused. He wasn't surrounded by crime. I find it hard to believe anybody wouldn't think he deserved it.
All rise.
3 years after Tricia and Kevin's murders, Bart Whitaker's trial gets underway. Prosecutors present crime scene analysis, forensic evidence, and eyewitness accounts. But it's the testimony of Stephen Champagne, one of Bart's alleged accomplices, that everyone in the courtroom is waiting to hear.
What are you charged with?
Capital murder.
Champagne says 2 months before the shootings, Bart offered both him and Chris Brashear a cut of $1 million insurance policy to help kill the Whitaker family.
The conversation was about when the family came back from eating dinner that Chris would be in the house and shoot them.
On the night of the attack, Champagne was waiting in the getaway car when Chris Brashear quickly got inside.
I asked him what happened. He told me that he had shot all of them.
Defense attorney Randy McDonald can do little except attack Champagne for agreeing to kill for money.
And it really didn't bother you that 3 other human beings would be killed so you could have a better lifestyle.
The way that I looked at it was they weren't human.
As prosecutors build their case, more shocking details emerge. Investigators learn the 2003 attack wasn't the first time Bart had tried to kill his family. He had made at least 3 other attempts using other friends as recruits.
Was it just a general conversation, I want to kill my family, I want you to help me?
Yes, sir.
In December 2000, Bart approached his college roommates Will Anthony and Justin Peters.
I was supposed to, as they entered the home, shoot the family, sir.
Will, who was supposed to actually go into the house, was he going to be given anything to hide his identity?
Yes. He was given black pants and black shirt and a ski mask.
By who?
Bart.
Peters and Anthony actually made it to the Whitaker home. As planned, Will Anthony went to open a back window.
As soon as I touched it, sir, to try to open it, an alarm went off.
The 2 men fled. But Bart Whitaker wasn't scared off. 2 months later, he approached another friend with another plan. Remember Adam Hipp, Bart's old friend turned police informant? Under oath, Hipp publicly admits that he too once agreed to help kill the Whitaker family.
Why did you say yes?
You know, I don't know. I'm not proud of it, but for the simple fact I was kind of interested to see how far he would take it.
We're going, huh? These were kind of people you would think, this is what you want your son to be. Goes to college, gets a banking job, stuff like this.
All American boys.
All American boys.
Like Bart, all 3 young men came from well-to-do families.
Clean-cut, kind of all-American kids. Justin Peters had been a National Merit Scholar. I just could not see how this happened.
Besides money, prosecutor Fred Felchman believes Bart Whitaker is a gifted liar and manipulator.
He would actually seek out people, okay? He would seek out the ones that are maybe a little weaker, that he got to know a little bit better, that had some investment in him.
Bart's second plan to murder his family with the aid of Adam Hipp never went beyond talk. But by April 2001, Bart had hatched yet a 3rd plot.
So Bart Whitaker was a determined young man.
Absolutely.
This time, the plan unraveled after Jennifer Jaffet, a college acquaintance of Bart's, found out about it.
I asked Bart if he was seriously going to let this happen.
And how did he react to that?
He came up to me and he gave me a hug and whispered in my ear that everything was going to be okay.
Call the police?
I did call the police.
Police in turn notified Kent and Tricia.
It was just the far outest thing that you can conceive of, and we immediately said, there's no way.
Bart told his parents it was all a misunderstanding.
In retrospect, you say, what an idiot. How could you possibly have not seen this? But the truth is, we didn't know they were lies.
Even after his wife and youngest son were murdered 2 years later, Kent still refused to believe that Bart was capable of such evil.
Aren't you putting 2 and 2 together here and saying, maybe Bart's responsible for this?
Perhaps I should have, but I didn't.
Do you believe this crime could have been prevented if people had paid attention to these warning signs?
Look at the actions of Bart Whitaker. You're already caught, all right? But you still proceed to it, and you still go through it. Now you tell me, where along this line with Bart Whitaker do you think it's going to stop?
You're excused.
Bart Whitaker's trial lasted 7 days, but the jury deliberates just 2 hours.
6-9, we have verdict in 400.
Returning with a verdict everyone was expecting.
We, the jury, do hereby find the defendant,
Thomas Bartlett Whitaker, guilty of the offense of capital murder as charged in the indictment.
But the real drama of this case, the punishment phase. Now, for the first time, Bart Whitaker will speak openly about his obsession with killing his family.
I feel horrible about myself, what I've done. This is daunting. My son's life is hanging in the balance.
The punishment phase of Bart Whitaker's trial is underway.
Just follow me.
And his father, Kent, hopes he can persuade the jury to forgive Bart as he has.
Ladies and gentlemen, the jury may not have the same faith. They may not have the same beliefs about what should happen to somebody, but is it your desire that they assess a life sentence in this case?
It has been from the start, and it still is.
Would Tricia feel the same way?
I promise you, yes, she would have been appalled that the state chose to pursue the death penalty in this case.
But it will take more than the wishes of Kent or Tricia to spare their son's life.
Call your next witness.
Bart Whitaker. He needs to be sworn, Your Honor.
Please stand before the clerk to be sworn.
To everyone's surprise, Bart decides to put his fate in his own hands and speak directly to the jury.
I am 100% guilty for this. I put the plan in motion. If I had not done so, it would not have happened.
And do you realize that you robbed your mother of a full life?
Yes.
You robbed Kevin of a full life?
Yes.
You actually even robbed your father of a full life.
Yes.
Do you feel any remorse for this?
Yes, sir, I do.
Who do you feel remorse for?
I feel remorse for everyone involved, starting with my dad, my mom, and my brother, and my whole. Everyone I've ever met in my life, I feel sorry for having come in contact with me.
Bart is finally asked the question on everyone's mind.
Can you answer the question, why?
No, sir. I've come up with a lot of the reasons for how I got to where I was going, but they do not explain it. I always felt that whatever love they sent me was conditional on a standard that I just never felt I could reach.
Bart Whitaker claims that he felt unloved, felt he couldn't live up to his parents' expectations.
I heard all that crap too. There's no evidence whatsoever this family ever did anything to him. They loved him unconditionally.
I think he came to the decision that, you know, I hate myself, I hate this life I'm in. If there's just some way I can get out of it, maybe if my family was gone, I could be free of this and live a real life.
For Bart's life to be spared, he must convince the jury he is no longer a threat to anyone, in or out of prison.
Do you have any designs on any conduct that would in any way, shape, or form hurt another individual?
No, the only people I've ever hated, and I know it was not for the right reasons, but the only people I ever hated were my parents and my brother.
In fact, the irony of it all is that your dad is actually the one that's come to your rescue and put you back on track.
He's become my best friend the last year.
Pass the witness.
Mr. Felshman, I assume you're going to be a while?
It's a good chance.
Fred Felchman has waited nearly 2 years for this moment.
Your mother loved you. It's her whole life was you and Kevin. But then you tell me you never felt loved by your parents.
Yes, sir.
Do you find anything scary about this?
I find something tragic about it. And
tragic? That I've got a defendant who's that out of touch with reality?
Felchman wants to convince the jury that Bart Whitaker's disconnect with reality makes him dangerous.
If somebody interacts with Bart Whitaker, he can be on a totally innocent basis, and you decide to perceive it different, you could kill that person.
No, I could not.
You killed your mother and brother on totally false circumstances,
Yes,
right?
sir, I was a different person then.
Felchman reminds the jury of the lives Bart took.
You see your brother when you ran it?
Yes, I did.
He was gurgling in his own blood. You know, I watched this whole trial, you've never cried until now?
I did earlier.
Why are you crying now?
Horrible memory.
Bart tries one last time to convince Felchman and the jury that he has changed.
Do you believe a person can't be sorry for the things they did?
No. I think they can be, Mr. Whitaker. But I don't think you are. I think you're sorry you got caught and now you're trying to figure out how to get out of the death penalty.
It's now up to the jury to decide.
I was holding out for a life sentence. I thought that he wanted his parents dead. He had done what he set out to do, so I didn't feel he was a threat.
We gathered 5 members of the jury to tell us about their deliberation.
His goal this time was his family, but who knows what his next goal would have been, and that scared me.
The picture of him and his mom and his brother sitting there eating, and he's sitting there smiling, knowing that they're going to be killed in a few minutes.
What did that tell you about Bart?
That told me that the probability of him doing it again was great.
I just knew that he would do this again.
It took jurors only 10 hours to reach a verdict.
The court does at this time, upon those verdicts, determine that you be sentenced to death.
Bart Whitaker is to die.
What did that do to you inside?
The feeling was a great deal of disappointment.
My heart breaks for Kent Whitaker, but I wondered what kind of relationship he had with his son.
I fell for the man. I really did, but we had to follow the law.
Someday Bart Whitaker's going to die.
It's not our fault.
No, he
it's
killed
Bart
himself.
Whitaker's fault.
I just
Without
hope I'm
Bart
not
Whitaker,
here.
none of this would have happened.
Bart has taken it upon himself to teach Kevin how to ride the bicycle.
Despite all that he now knows, Kent Whitaker says he will never abandon his son.
Tricia and Kevin, I miss them, but they're in heaven, and I'm going to heaven, and I have no doubts about that. I want Bart up there too.
Someday in the future, you're going to get a phone call from somebody to tell you that Bart Whitaker has been put to death.
Yeah.
What will that be like for you, do you think?
Been through that before. There will be a certain sadness, but it won't be for Bart Whitaker. It will be for the father. It will also be a sense of satisfaction too, though. Justice has been done on this case.
Colton Harris Moore is daring.
The longer this goes on, the more dangerous he becomes. He's stealing aircraft.
Colton Harris Moore is an outlaw. He's Western Washington's new Jesse James.
He is the rock star of the San Juan Islands right now.
The barefoot bandit continues his crime spree.
He leaves a calling card. He leaves footprints. He is often barefoot, they believe, during the crimes.
His drug of choice is adrenaline. He enjoys the chase.
We've transferred into a smaller boat because it's so shallow in this area.
When Colton Harris Moore took an airplane from Indiana and flew it out of America and took this chase international, it became the top story in the world.
Colton Harris Moore is just 19 years old, but his international multi-million-dollar crime spree reads like a movie plot.
Colton Harris Moore is a punk with a capital P.
A tough kid to catch as well.
They threw everything they could at him. They threw SWAT teams, FBI tactical teams chasing him, and they couldn't catch him.
This is very risky stuff going on, and Colton's going to wind up dead or killing a bunch of other people.
We have been on this story for months, and we have been chasing Colton Harris Moore from the Pacific Northwest.
And we're going to start seeing these everywhere.
All the way to the Bahamas.
He came to True Heel. Colton is living his life as a big adventure.
Anybody that has the balls to get into an airplane they don't know how to fly and then take off into the sunset, crash land that plane.
There's the plane right out there. Do you see it? You can see the skid path.
And then say, wow, that was crazy. You know what? I think I'll do it again. That is balls.
Colton Harris Moore enjoys running through the woods. He enjoys being able to be a step ahead of the police. He enjoys the chase.
Before Colton Harris Moore became famous as an international fugitive, before he attracted more than 100,000 fans on Facebook, before he stole a single airplane, he was one very unpopular teenager back in his hometown of Camano Island, Washington.
Colton Harris Moore is nothing but a thief, a criminal. He's not Robin Hood. He's not Jesse James. He's not James Bond.
Colton's crime spree on this tranquil island began when he was just 10 years old. He soon advanced to breaking into homes, using stolen credit cards, and stealing boats. By the age of 19, he has a $10,000 price tag on his head and a bounty hunter on his trail.
We're going to wait and we're going to watch. He doesn't get to go wherever he wants. He doesn't get to take whatever he wants.
In the summer of 2010, residents of Camano Island reached a breaking point. They gathered to discuss rumors that were frightening everyone.
They said he shot at a policeman, he stole a policeman's gun.
We want him stopped. Most of us want him dead, period.
How did it come to this? Why would anyone want to kill this troubled teenager?
I mean, he is a criminal, but at the same time, there really is a little part of me that just really feels bad for him because I've known him, almost my whole life.
Ashley Martin grew up with Colton on Camano Island.
He was a very sweet little kid.
There he is.
Look at that little baby face.
Yeah.
Classmate Jessica Wesson remembers a little boy who always loved animals and airplanes. These are drawings Colton made as he was growing up.
Did he tell you what he wanted to do for a living when he grew up?
He mentioned that he wanted to be a pilot. When we heard he was stealing planes, I was like, well, that kind of makes sense.
Did you ever go over to his house?
No, I never went over to his house.
Maybe he didn't want Jessica to see this. This is the trailer where Colton grew up with his mother, Pam Kohler.
Why do you think Colton went from being this sweet kid that you knew when you first met him into a criminal?
Probably his upbringing. I hear his mom wasn't so nice.
The issue here is with Colton, not so much what he did, but who created this kid.
48 Hours investigator Paul Cialino. He uncovered court records that showed a dozen calls to Child Protective Services by the time Colton was just 14.
There was physical abuse. There was mental abuse. There was physical neglect.
I was having nightmares when I began to research his childhood. I would literally wake up in a sweat thinking about some things Colt went through.
Bob Friel is a writer from Washington State who wrote a book about Colton's life.
His biological father was in and out of that trailer home that Pam was in.
This is Colton's father, Gordon Moore, who has been mostly absent from his life. But when Colton was 12, Gordon was convicted of assault for choking the boy. Colton told a child services caseworker that his mother, Pam, was outraged at him for calling 911. Colton had nowhere to turn. As one caseworker wrote, Colton wants Mom to stop drinking and get a job and have food in the house. Mom refuses.
Pam chose beer over everything. It ruined his life.
Jackie Staggs has known Pam since Colton was born.
How did Colton get his name?
If you ask Pam, she'll tell you she named him after the beer.
You're telling me that Pam named her son after Colt 45, the malt liquor?
Mm-hmm. That's what she told me.
We wanted to try and meet Colton's mother, Pam, ourselves. Investigator Paul Cialino and producer Sarah Pryor joined me on a walk up this dirt driveway to find some answers.
That's her house up there. Sarah, if she calls out, why don't you say you're the one who left a note?
Sure, yeah, absolutely.
As the sign shows, Pam does not like visitors.
Hello, Pam?
Hi, I'm Sarah. I left you a note the other day from CBS. What's that?
I'm getting my shotgun right now.
We just want to talk to you, Pam. Can you just talk to us for a moment?
My shotgun now.
All right.
Get out of here.
Later, Pam changed her mind and spoke to us off camera. She told us she'd always been a good mother and showed us this collage Colton made when he was 15, filled with all the things Colton might say he was missing in life: money, food, and of course, airplanes.
When Colton Harris Moore would break into a vacation home, he would use the shower, he would wash his clothes, and he would sleep on the bed or sleep on the couch. He was not the traditional kid breaking in to steal booze and damage a house.
But along the way, Colton did more than just grab a snack and a shower. He stole laptops, iPods, cell phones, and jewelry.
Would you say you brought Colton into the world of crime?
I would say that I brought him into the crime of burglaries.
Meet Colton's former partner in crime and the self-described brains of the operation, Harley Davidson Iron Wing, a big name for a pint-sized criminal.
What'd you guys do together?
Hit houses, stole cars.
Did he ever tell you he wanted to be a pilot one day?
No. He just wanted to steal planes and just fly them. I have countless people that blame me for what he is today.
By 2006, Colton was 15, more than 6 feet tall, and wanted by the law. Acting on a tip, deputies went to his mother's house to arrest him. All they found was this note that Colton left for his mother, which reads, "Cops want to play, huh? Well, it's not no little game. It's war, and tell them that."
When Colton says it's war, what do you think he means?
Come and catch me if you can. It's a war of the minds. He wants to show them that they aren't as smart as they think they are.
It was now February 2007. After several narrow escapes from the law, Colton broke into this house while the owner was out of town. A neighbor saw a light on and called the police. After a tense 2-hour standoff, Colton was finally arrested. And he didn't seem to like the attention. Colton was sentenced to 3 years in the juvenile system. But just 1 year later, in April 2008, he climbed out the window of this halfway house. The chase was back on.
Salad greens were picked this morning. Oyster?
Have a great day.
Oh, yeah.
The Salmon Islands are a wonderful place to live. We're a very tight-knit community.
And the jewel of the San Juan Island chain, says Colleen Armstrong, editor of the local newspaper, is beautiful Orcas Island.
We are covered in evergreens and cedars and madrona trees and fir, and wildlife and pristine water.
But residents say everything changed in 2008 when Colton Harris Moore fled to this island after escaping from a juvenile facility near Seattle.
Colton Harris Moore is a one-man crime wave.
Once the sun went down, Colton allegedly crept through the small village of East Sound, making off with whatever he could carry.
What all has he taken from this town?
Money, lots of money. Tools from the hardware store, food from markets, cash from ATMs. You name it, he's taken it.
This kind of is what the town is about, or used to be about.
But peace is not what this store owner is feeling.
I feel like I've been put in a situation where I have to defend my personal property.
Colton allegedly burglarized the Orcas homegrown market 3 times, transforming Kyle Ader
Isn't that beautiful?
from a serene organic grocer
It's a Dan Wesson revolver.
into Dirty Harry.
I keep a gun with me because that'll blow a pretty big hole. I need to be ready. Double action.
Kyle feels shaken by what he found after a burglary in February 2010.
I came in and there was large footprints. 39 of them, giant footprints.
39
all the way around the deli. And then they kind of turned, and so he'd done everything he'd done in the store, and then he was going out the side door with footprints, and it said, "See ya."
Facing bankruptcy if Colton struck again, Kyle started sleeping in his store each night with his 2 large dogs.
All right, well, we're all locked down.
And then this is your bed for the night.
That's where I'm gonna sleep. Come on, girls, come on, come here. This is my whole life, my whole livelihood, and my family's livelihood, so I have to be prepared to defend my own.
Your best guess is Colton's still here.
Yeah, right now I think he's in Deer Harbor. He was in a 4-story home over there, had the heat turned on, popcorn all over the place. I guess he likes popcorn.
Colton spent months on Orcas Island, allegedly committing more than 20 break-ins and burglaries. Police released these surveillance camera photos from a local market. Legend grew that he was now hiding out somewhere in the forest.
Here we are in the great primal forest of Orcas Island, and Colton could be out there somewhere, right?
Yeah, this is his stomping grounds. What you're looking at is Colton's land. He could be out there camping, foraging. He could be watching us right now for all we know.
And he'd have a big smile on his face,
Yes, he
wouldn't
would. Be loving every minute of it.
Colton did seem to be enjoying himself. He used stolen cameras to snap these self-portraits. This one became the iconic shot of the barefoot bandit featured on wanted posters everywhere.
Is the sheriff's department, are they embarrassed by this, the fact that they haven't been able to find this kid?
I think it's incredibly frustrating. Very, very frustrating.
With the sheriff stymied, we decided to track Colton ourselves. Local realtor Suzanne Vidal.
Can we follow you in?
Sure.
Suzanne invited us inside a vacation house
All looks good so far.
that she thought had sat empty for the past 8 months.
Strange feeling somebody's been on the beds. Huh.
It's clear a stranger has been here.
Has that been slept on?
It almost looks like somebody's been on the bed, doesn't it?
Look at this depression here in the bed.
Gives me the chills. The toilet seat was up, though, like a man had used it.
As we walk through the house,
Oh, this door's open.
more evidence
Oh, gosh, it's open, too.
You are certain that door was locked?
Yes, it's...
So somebody's been here.
You know, actually, if you look at the table, there's food on the table.
Look at here. There's crumbs. Look at this big one.
Popcorn.
What's that?
Popcorn.
You know he eats popcorn everywhere he goes.
No, don't you tell me that.
I'm very serious. The places that he's found, generally there's a lot of popcorn around.
I think I'm just going to ask the sheriff's department to come over here and take a look around.
Suzanne calls the sheriff, and a deputy quickly responds. The house was dusted for fingerprints. Was Colton here?
Is this a place of interest for you guys?
The sheriff's department won't tell us, But these kinds of discoveries drive the locals over the edge.
He gets an adrenaline rush from ripping people off.
Marion Rathbone operates Vern's,
How's the view?
a local restaurant.
Good. Colton Harris Moore is a punk-ass kid who has caused more damage to more of the small people, the little people. He's a piece of crap. He got in through here.
Marion says Colton scaled the side of her building with Spider-Man-like moves.
He knocked the wood in and was able to climb in through that little hole there.
This security camera video shows the burglar running through Marion's restaurant. Someone who looks very much like Colton and is clearly barefoot.
The safe was right here, around the corner.
He stole $15,000 from Marion's safe, her entire summer's profit.
And after I pulled myself up off the floor because I dropped to my knees, all I kept saying was, oh my God, oh my God.
And Marion says it wasn't the first time that Colton had broken in.
He had been in this office a week before and used one of the credit cards that I had stashed on my computer right there to order a How to Fly Small Aircraft DVD.
How to fly a small aircraft?
Computer displays replaced the...
Is this really the way Colton taught himself how to fly?
.5 KZOK, good morning. It's 8:41. Bob Rivers here.
Bob Rivers is a Seattle radio personality. Back in the fall of 2008, Colton Harris Moore stole Rivers' Cessna single-engine plane from a hangar on Orcas Island.
The day my plane was stolen, it was a brutal, gusty, windy day.
In the first flight where Colton took off himself, he flew over the Cascade Mountain Range with wind gusts coming from every direction, taking that plane and shaking it like a soda can.
As he flew over the mountains, Colton found himself trapped in a whiteout at 13,000 feet.
That must have been a terrifying flight.
It was. There was vomit in the cockpit, and our sources say Colton felt sure he was going to die. But miraculously, he made it, flying 250 miles from Orcas Island to a field outside Yakima, Washington, where he crashed. Incredibly, Colton simply walked away. But how did this high school dropout learn to fly?
When Colton wants to learn something, Colton will do that. He will accomplish that, unlike anyone I've ever experienced before.
Colton apparently taught himself using that flight DVD he'd ordered online with a stolen credit card.
Learning to fly is a lot of fun, as well as being challenging. Watching video is not a substitute for good instruction.
The DVD is distributed by a company called Sporties. And as you can see here, the sophisticated graphics mimic the computerized controls in many modern planes.
I had the hardest time when I began researching this story getting pilots to believe that this could possibly be this 17-year-old kid.
And 48 Hours has been told Colton studied the Cessna's manual before that first flight.
Even people who were obsessed with flying, loved airplanes, knew everything about airplanes, they would have killed themselves. Colt was able to pull it off.
After he fled the downed plane, our sources say Colton hopped a freight train to Reno, Nevada. He lied about his age and got a job at a casino where he worked for 6 months. And then, on September 11th, 2009, Colton resurfaced in a big way. He was now back home in Washington State, where authorities say he stole a second plane, this time making a dramatic nighttime landing on Orcas Island. Colton's daring exploits inspired several fan clubs on Facebook, and tens of thousands signed up.
I think he loves the media attention. He absolutely does monitor the internet, our website, Facebook, Twitter, blogs, you name it, he's reading it.
Overnight, the legend of Colton Harris Moore went viral. He became his own cottage industry. People began selling Fly Colton Fly t-shirts urging him to go for it. Some even wrote songs.
Like a hero, he can give us hope. Like a villain, he will steal your stuff.
It was now a year and a half since Colton had escaped from that halfway house. He crossed the border into Canada, allegedly stole 2 guns, and then crossed back into the U.S. without anyone stopping him. As he sought planes to steal, he traveled from one tiny airport to another, where security was low and the planes were easy pickings.
When I arrived here, the plane was gone. This door was open.
Authorities say the barefoot bandit had struck again, here in Idaho, bagging his 3rd plane in less than a year.
You could say Colton Harris Moore's life is very similar to a video game. This is a game to him.
But it was not a game for Homeland Security, which had now joined the investigation. And when that 3rd plane was located in a field in Granite Falls, Washington, police closed in, but backed off when they heard a gunshot.
From that point, things became very serious for Colton Harris Moore. To him, it may have just been a higher level of the video game. For the law enforcement, they treated him as armed and potentially dangerous.
Colton, now suspected of committing at least 65 crimes, decided to lay low. He surfaced yet again in February 2010, allegedly stealing his 4th plane, this one a $650,000 Cirrus. Authorities say Colton was aloft just 10 minutes, flying from Anacortes, Washington, back to the now familiar airport on Orcas Island. And once again, the authorities were hot on his trail. And after getting a tip that Colton was hiding somewhere on Turtleback Mountain, they pounced.
I was sleeping in this bed here. I hear a doorbell ring.
Homeowner Hy Stickney saw the response firsthand.
What time was it? About 1:30 or 1:45 in the morning. So I roll out of the bed, and here's a helicopter hovering, maybe 100 yards off the window. You're kidding. With the lights going got shining down.
He rushed to answer the front door.
And I see FBI across the chest of this guy's uniform. And then I see over his shoulder in the background 2 or 3 police cars and FBI cars. 10 or 12 people milling around in uniform out there. And I think, well, that's it. So,
I mean, this has to be absolutely startling.
That
A
was
chopper
startling.
hovering out here.
Yeah.
The next morning, police found these footprints in the mud. The infamous barefoot bandit had done the impossible. Surrounded on all sides, he escaped. But the Colton video game was veering into the danger zone.
Get to 911. Where is your emergency? Please, for somebody immediately. Somebody's in our home. Oh my God. They said they were going to shoot us.
By the spring of 2010, Colton Harris Moore's audacious aerial joyrides, including 4 airplane thefts, had put him on the radar of law enforcement in 2 countries. He had been on the run for 2 years.
Up here in the Northwest, we have the Border Patrol looking for him, we have the Canadian officials looking for him, we have Homeland Security, the FBI. I mean, he's getting more attention in the United States than bin Laden does.
While we were on Orcas Island with investigator Paul Ciolino, Colton slipped away once again. A boat was stolen from a nearby island, and authorities believe this man, captured by a security camera, is Colton Harris Moore.
Why is he getting so active?
He's got to keep moving, because if he sits still, they're going to catch him.
Colton began moving south, pausing just long enough to leave this note with $100 in cash at a veterinary clinic in Raymond, Washington. He asked the money be used for, quote, the care of animals.
Why'd he do that?
It's admirable that he loves animals, but, I mean, it doesn't help him.
That donation gave the sheriff's deputies back on Colton's home turf an idea of where he was heading. They warned several police jurisdictions in the area and began tracking car thefts in Oregon, Idaho, and Wyoming. And then Colton surfaced in tiny Yankton, South Dakota.
Hello, Yankton 911. Please, there's somebody immediately. Somebody's in our home. There's somebody in your house. They said they're going to shoot us. Did you say they're going to shoot you? We went in the garage. We went into the house. We were carrying the children. And they said they were going to shoot us.
That frantic voice
Oh, my God.
is the wife of Yankton resident Kelly Kneifel. The couple and their 4 young children were returning home from a family vacation at 3 a.m.
And my wife stepped back here and screamed, and I went bolting past her, opened this door, and right there was a young man, naked, turning around, running away from me. And I started to chase him down the stairs. Get out of my house, get out of my house. It was about right here that I could see a laser light pointing at me. And he said, "Stop, I've got a gun, I'll shoot, I'll shoot."
Kelly called police, but by the time they got there, Colton was gone.
He's a potential killer at that point. If that was a gun aimed at a chest, obviously.
It was a very close call, but Colton continued his summer run, allegedly stealing cars and breaking into one small airport.
But he did get in here.
After another.
It was probably after, an airplane.
Across the Midwest.
He didn't get in them because they were locked.
Where would he have gone if he'd gotten an airplane, do you think?
Well, I think he makes the big jump. He gets 200-300 miles away real quick.
But this time, Colton had much bigger plans. And leapfrogged over the rest of the United States.
Our pursuit of Colton Harris Moore has taken a dramatic turn because Colton has taken a dramatic turn. He allegedly stole an airplane in Bloomington, Indiana, and flew it 1,200 miles to this place. This is an island called Abaco. It's in the Bahamas, and the plane crash landed, and that's where we're heading right now, is to check this out.
With the help of some locals, we hire a couple of boats and set out across the shallow Bahamian waters.
We're heading to the airplane. If you look way in the distance, you see some silver shining. That's the tail of the airplane. We got about a mile walk to do through this muck. We've been hiking through this muck for about an hour. Everybody's exhausted. The sun's going down. We only have about 40 minutes before it gets dark. So we've made a decision. We're going to go back into town and try to get a helicopter to return to the scene in a more civilized way.
This is the vastness of this area. There's the plane right up there. See it? That's the Cessna. Look where he set this thing down, in the middle of nowhere.
We finally made it to Colton's plane. The landing skid path through here is about 50 yards long, and if you look right here, he lost a landing gear as he was making this crash landing. He managed to keep it level somehow. As you can see, the nose is in the grass. The doors on the aircraft are locked. This is a crime scene. But looking inside, I don't see any blood, no evidence whatsoever that Colton was injured in this crash landing. He got out of that plane and headed into the island. Hot on the trail of the barefoot bandit, we take off for Marsh Harbor, Abaco's biggest town.
Do they have a tip today? Is that what's going on?
At the police station,
hey guys,
we get a lead.
You guys have a tip on Colton? They have a tip. Airport.
It turns out to be a false lead. We then head to the town where there's been a series of break-ins at the dive shop, at a local gas company.
Police was here. The security company had called her, and they were the building surrounded. It looked like a Hollywood scene.
And at night, he also hit Curly Tail's restaurant next to the local marina.
And did the police tell you who they think did this?
And they said it's the bandit, the barefoot bandit.
Colton is everywhere, but nowhere.
A lot of people, they feel unsafe right now.
But the Royal Bahamian Police vow they will find him.
We should be able to take him down, have him in custody in the quickest possible time.
At week's end, there is still no sign of Colton. But then, Colton finds himself in his biggest jam yet. While we were looking for Colton on Abaco, he'd already allegedly stolen a yacht and escaped to the nearby Bahamian island of Eleuthera. We headed there ourselves and found James Coakley, who says Colton was hanging around his bar.
The strange part of it is wondering, what he does, because he is barefoot. But, tourists...
He was barefoot here.
Yeah.
Coakley says Colton broke into his club.
He came right through here.
And allegedly stole some snacks and water and made himself at home.
And then where did he sleep?
I guess see the same pool table right here?
Yeah? You think he slept on the pool table?
Yeah, I believe this.
The next night, Colton was spotted in the water near Coakley's club in a boat he'd apparently stolen. He was talking to some local teens who were standing on the shore.
And they asked him, are you the guy who's going around with the airplanes? And he said yes.
Knowing there was a $10,000 reward, the teens quickly jumped into a boat and gave chase. Colton fled to nearby Harbor Island.
I saw a boat pull up at the end of this dock right here. I saw a young man, took off the dock.
Security guard Kenny Strawn works at the Remora Bay Resort, just across the water from Coakley's club.
I see him like he's running fast and he's breathing real hard and excited.
Security footage captured the moment.
And he was just running with some object in his hand. And as I kept looking at it, it seems to be a gun.
Well, what are you thinking when you see this guy?
Well, when I see him, I get excited. And he ran towards me and he said, they're trying to kill me. So I'm looking and say, who's trying to kill you?
Colton fled onto the island. Word quickly spread boat to boat at the marina. American Jordan Sackett was aboard his family's yacht.
That everybody was on high alert that he was on the island and that he was around.
Then suddenly, as police were searching for the barefoot bandit, Jordan saw a boat roar away. It was Colton. The cops showed up with Uzis and shotguns, but they had no boat. They asked Jordan if they could use his, and he in turn asked his parents for permission.
How did that go? Mom, Dad, can I take the boat and these armed officers to pursue an armed suspect? Is that okay with you guys?
They were a little shocked at first, but it was almost as if gotta go get him.
Police jumped in. Colton had a 5-minute head start and was heading for open ocean until
you can see the lighter areas or where the sandbar is, the lighter.
He ran aground right at this spot. Police quickly closed in.
And his boat's right up here in front of us.
At this point, we're basically about 50 feet behind him.
At that point, police shot out the engines on Colton's boat.
It was crazy. Guns are going off everywhere. We're all ducking down to make sure that we're not getting fired upon. And the first shot fired was a shotgun.
That's where the shotgun went in?
Which hit the back left engine and basically shut it down immediately. Once the firing stopped, he popped back up. He said, "Don't shoot, I can't hear anything."
And in July 2010, after a 2-year odyssey when he was suspected of committing nearly 100 crimes and stealing 11 boats, 14 cars, 3 guns, and 5 airplanes, Colton Harris Moore was finally arrested. In this video, exclusive to 48 Hours, the police question Colton, now outfitted in a bulletproof vest.
I just want you to say it.
They offer him food and water and check out the world's most famous bare feet. They also ask where he got his gun.
Where you got that from? I can't remember.
A Walther PPK, the same type used by James Bond. He says he doesn't remember, and they all share a laugh. The next day, he is taken from Eleuthera to Nassau. It's clear his legend has traveled with him. And there on the tarmac, Colton does not disappoint, appearing barefoot before the international media.
An American teenager dubbed the Barefoot Bandit has been captured in the Bahamas.
Police in the Bahamas captured Colton Harris Moore before dawn this morning.
Colton wants no part of the media circus.
Come on, let's make this one fast.
Back on Camino Island, Colton's mother, Pam, takes the news of her son's arrest in stride.
He's safe, and I'm happy, and I love him, and I miss him.
By the time Colton is taken to court a few days later,
okay, you guys, here he comes.
He is barefoot no more. Colton is deported, back to where his exploits began, the Pacific Northwest. And finally, nearly a year after he was brought home, Colton Harris Moore faces his day of reckoning.
He has taken the first step to accept responsibility for his actions. He has pled guilty to 7 felony charges.
Those charges include stealing those airplanes, breaking into a bank, and possessing an illegal firearm. In the end, a plea deal is negotiated involving federal and local authorities. Colton Harris Moore is sentenced to 7 years in prison. Colton's attorney, John Henry Brown.
Well, he was expecting the worst. And so the fact that he got the low end of the sentencing range, he knows that makes a big difference.
I think he feels very relieved and he's very grateful.
And you might think Colton is especially grateful because he sold the rights to his life story to a movie company for a reported $1.3 million. But Colton will never see a penny of that money.
The plea agreement makes very clear that he will not profit directly or indirectly, nor will we help anyone else to profit from those crimes. Should there be monies paid because of these crimes, it will go to the people who were hurt by these crimes.
And the feds say he owes his victims $1.4 million. The court has appointed a deputy to distribute the funds.
Colton is not interested in money, he's interested in restitution.
Colton has now been behind bars for nearly 3 years. One bright spot is that a manager from Boeing, Jonathan Stanridge, has become a mentor to Colton, encouraging him to pursue his dreams of one day working in aviation.
He wants to come out, go to school, go to work, help repay those folks that he owes money to.
There is one question that remains in this dramatic saga of a young man.
Has he ever told you why he did this?
We've had lots of talks, and all of that will come out at some point.
Colton's journey does read like a movie plot, sprinkled with rich details like the backpack he carried during his 2 years on the lam. Inside were keepsakes from a lost childhood, sketches of airplanes, 2 photos from the 5th grade, and a Boy Scouts of America certificate.
This is an incredibly sad story. I mean, he's been failed at every step of the way. Where does this kid go to reclaim his childhood? We created this criminal, and he survived the only way he knew how.